And I'm a junior at the University of Maryland. Go Terps. My background is a little bit different from many in the room. I'm a Pakistani-American Muslim, but I'm from Potomac, Maryland, so I guess I'm culturally Jewish. Growing up, many of my friends did BBYO and went to different Jewish summer camps. I drove by regularly 4 or 5 synagogues, all bearing "We Support Israel" signs. And in high school, I fell in love with Philip Roth. However, unsurprisingly, growing up in a household that was sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was always the awkward elephant in the room, and I was never supposed to bring it up. As I got older, I realized that this conflict evoked a level of anger and emotion in me, and I needed to learn more. And I decided to start with learning more about Israel, because everything I was learning about the conflict made me not want to be pro-Israel. And even though Israel was a part of my life growing up, I didn't actually substantively understand what it meant to be pro-Israel. And as someone who cared about Palestinians and wanted to contribute to ending this conflict, I knew that I needed to understand all sides. When I began college, I immersed myself in the pro-Israel community. I started going to Hillel, I joined J Street U, woo! And I enrolled in Israel Studies classes. And in one of those Israel Studies classes, which was taught by Professor Paul Sham, who is in the audience today, I was assigned to play the role of David Ben-Gurion in a simulation of the 1937 Peel Commission. The day in, day out of thinking like Ben-Gurion, writing papers as if I were Ben-Gurion, arguing with Jabotinsky and the British as if I were Ben-Gurion, completely changed the way I thought about this conflict. Suddenly, Zionism became about accountability. It was the Jewish people taking control of their future after a history of being trampled on. It was a small group of individuals who grappled with their Jewish identity and the communal obligation that it entailed, who identified a threat to the future of their people and did everything they could to save that future at a time when it seemed that everything might be lost. I fell in love with Zionism because Zionism became about taking ownership over the story of one's people. If Zionism is about owning your future, how can I not respect that? That realization fueled my further involvement in J Street U and the decision to spend a semester abroad in Jerusalem. It was a wonderful, emotionally exhausting experience, and also incredibly frustrating. Jerusalemites refer to Ma'ale Adumim as a neighborhood instead of the settlement that it is. The racism was pervasive and draining. The occupation was easily invisible, even in a city like Jerusalem. But the most frustrating part of being abroad was that the Americans on my program didn't care. I had friends who could walk through the old city to buy jewelry without giving even a thought to the Palestinians on the other side of that green line. And that apathy was infuriating to me because of the real ramifications that it had on Palestinians and Israelis, but also because it was baffling. Everyone reduced their love of Israel to cherry tomatoes and completely turned their back on what made the creation of Israel so special, the spirit of responsibility. Everyone settled for a less than vigorous commitment which was the complete opposite of what Ben-Gurion would have insisted upon. And it was a watered-down Zionism that could never have even created the state. We are all here in this room today, Jewish and not Jewish, Zionist and not Zionist, because we are frustrated by the pain of this conflict, and we see an opportunity for a better future. But that future will not come on its own. We must take responsibility and make the difficult choices to end the occupation and achieve a two-state solution. And we are all here in this room today because we believe that the American Jewish community and the pro-Israel community hold an enormous amount of power on this issue. And we must use that power for the better. If our institutions are going to call themselves pro-Israel, they must be responsible for ensuring that their policies are enabling a more peaceful future for all Palestinians and all Israelis. Last night, you heard Jeremy speak a little bit about how J Street U is taking the lead in pushing our communal organizations to disclose how their funding supports settlements and other obstacles to peace. We believe that by pushing for greater transparency, we are holding our institutions accountable for their role in perpetuating the occupation. The moment right now is pretty difficult, but responsibility does not stop with difficult moments. If there was ever a time to go all in with everything that we have, to hold our institutions accountable, to follow the money, to end the occupation, it is now. This is the moment that demands the vigorous commitment and the passion of a movement that is ready to take ownership of this story. We must make the choices to defy the difficult politics of this moment and create the future that we want to see. An end to occupation, a free Palestine, and a strong Israel, and our communities that act up on their highest values. Thank you.